Hi, my name is Norman Yoshida, and I've been with Wellspring from the beginning. I came here because I knew Pastor Dale. When he first came from the mainland, he lived in the same house as I did with my parents and my brother in Kailua, which he came as a youth pastor, and he lived in Howard's house. Well, March of this year, I started having a problem with swallowing. I didn't think much of it. I just thought that was part of growing old. And well, by May, became very difficult to swallow. So I went to the doctor, and they looked for other things and not cancer. So they checked my nasal passages, they checked my lungs, they checked my throat, but they didn't go low enough in my throat to see the cancer. So I continued to have the problem till I got to the point where I couldn't swallow at all. So they sent me for a scan, a full body scan. That's when they saw the cancer. And by then it was June, almost July. So they started radiation. But that really didn't help the swallowing. So at first I could drink things, water. I would juice everything and get my nutrition that way until I couldn't even drink water. So they kept on with the radiation and chemotherapy for 5 weeks. That ended the first week in August. And at that point, I had gone from 200 pounds down. I lost 40 pounds in 5 weeks. Went down to 160, and my weight was still dropping. So they put it in a feeding tube. Well, when they changed my nutrition, that made all the difference in the world. Within a week, I started to put on weight back again. And I sure felt better. But at least I could get out of bed. I wasn't flat on my back with zero energy. And because to lose that much weight in that shorter period was terrible. And I used to pick up the produce and eggs here and give them away to our neighbors. Because we have a lot of care homes in our area and a lot of poor people. And they really appreciate it, you know.
Yeah, I think I was especially moved, Norman, to see you reaching out to people in your neighborhood and people around you, even though you yourself were going through radiation and chemo. And that's a lot. And when I look back at this last year for you, I wonder, like, how did God give you that strength, or how did you do that? How did God get you through from then until now? I'm curious to hear in your own words how you experienced
It's
that.
something that you don't think about. You just do it, you know. Somehow he cranks up the key and you go, and you just do it. And you're not thinking about anything but helping those you can, because they do need help. And because we have a wheelchair van, a lot of times we transport them too. They come, hey, we need help. Can you take him to the doctor or to the hospital? And we do it. We don't hesitate because we just feel that they need help.
And you can do it.
Yeah, and you know, you just feel good about being able to help people who cannot help themselves. I find that I cannot direct, I learn not to direct God. I always ask that His will be done. There's something I learned even from my son passing away. He suffered, really suffered, and I watched him for 2 weeks, agonizing, screaming for 2 weeks. It was hard to take. So I had to ask the family to please not only ask that he live, ask that God's will be done. You know, your will be done, God. And you know, when they did that, the next morning he passed on. And no more suffering. You know.
And you see God's love. How do you see God's love in that care?
Oh, because he knew, he knows us, he knows our bodies, he knows what we're going through. And he knew that my son was ready to be with him. He had become an ordained minister. And something he really, really wanted to be. He was a pastor of the church for a few years, but he wasn't ordained. But he got ordained a few months earlier. And he was really happy and really proud of it, you know. In this world, all the physical things cannot buy you life. Only Jesus can give you life. Like he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. And follow that. And if you believe it, your life will be much better. Your objective in life will change, and how you do things will change. It has to change to reflect your belief in Jesus. And it will.
And it will.
Yeah.
And I think you've described yourself as a previous bad guy too, haven't you?
No, yeah, I used to run gambling and a lot of it. And I don't know what I was doing. I was drifting with no real goals until I found Jesus. That was back in the year 2000 when I had 5 blocked arteries. 2 were 100% blocked. I went through open heart surgery twice already to bypass the blockage. Now this is the third time. They said they cannot, because you cannot connect scar tissue to scar tissue. So they didn't know what they were going to do. They were going to open me up and then decide what to do next, because they said you got nothing to lose because you're going to die anyway. Because you're not getting oxygen to your heart. That's a burning sensation all the time. And then my brother at Makiki Christian Church heard about it. He called me up and said, come to Monday, you go for your operation. Sunday, come to church. Let us pray for you. At that point, I was not much of a Christian, you know. I just went there for Christmas and Thanksgiving. And so my wife said, hey, you got nothing to lose, let's go. So we went, and the congregation prayed. Took 10 minutes of silence. And went, feeling nothing, of course. Went for my operation the next day. And they sedated me, and I fell asleep, of course, and for 5 hours, and I woke up and said, "Hey, you didn't cut me open. What happened?" They said, "We didn't have to." The cardiologist, for some unknown reason, said, "Hey, I want to go up one more time and look up the arteries." And he found that 3 of the arteries were 100% clear. The 2 that were 100% blocked were still blocked, but other 3 were 100% clear. And it's clear till this day. 20 years later, I was blocking up every 5 years.
Wow. So you asked God for more time.
I asked God for more time. I asked God for 13 more years because other people in the Bible did ask for 13 more years, and he gave them 13 more years.
Wow. And God
And
gave you more than 13 years.
he said, "Yeah, you think I'm chintzy?" And I said, "Maybe I have some use for you." And when I lived through the heart transplant that I didn't, I'm not transplant, but open heart surgery that I didn't get, right there and then I cut all operations, gambling operations, right there. I told all the runners, done. Return all your bets. I'm not in business anymore. They couldn't believe me. But when I destroyed all the machines, so I had gambling machines, nickels and turbos, people who played them know what they are. And I just destroyed them. People wanted to buy it. They offered hundreds of thousands of dollars for all the equipment. Nope. Oh, even with the cancer. At the end, when I started gaining my weight back and everything else, they said, "We have to take another scan, but this time we're going inside to look." Because they wanted to see if there's, oh no, there was residue. And they finally referred me to Oakland, Kaiser did, to their surgeon in Oakland who does do the non-invasive surgery. And he called me and we had a long interview. And he told me, wait 3 to 6 months. And let's look at it again because we don't know whether your body can fight off what's left. And if it can, it's happened before. Then we will decide then what we're going to do next. And they made me wait. So after 2 weeks after that, they told me, "We want to know whether it's spreading or not." So they went back down in to look at it. And 2 days later, they had to review the scan with other doctors too. And the one from VA called me up and said, "Hey, Norman," he didn't call me Norman, he said, "Hey, Miracle Man, it happened again, another miracle. It disappeared. There's no sign of cancer." He said, "We went through it, we spent a lot of time on it, and we can't find anything." But so many things in my life after the year 2000, when I truly became a Christian, a believer in Jesus Christ, that I cannot not believe.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, he fixed everything. Even my finances. I dropped everything. So my finances were cut really short. But always something comes up that the more I find that the less money I have, that I find that less money I need. Because you find out there's so many things you don't need that were just everyday things that you thought you needed. But when you do without it, and you say, hey, I don't need it, you know.
Because you found something you needed or someone you needed more. And
Right.
it's bad for you.
It feels better if you can help somebody who needs it.
Yeah, I love that.
And it really makes a difference. Like now, there's a kid that comes, he used to walk by our house every day, and he wants to sell us something. And my wife would buy something from him, whatever it is, $5 here, $10 here. And because they're basically homeless. They're living with the grandmother, but she doesn't have money. And 2 months ago, the grandmother passed away. And he and his brother now are out in the street because she was renting. And so she didn't they no longer have a place. So every day he comes by, either my wife or I will give him $5. If he goes to McDonald's and eats, And he seems sincere in that he goes around and scavenge and he finds things, and whatever he has to sell, broken or not, we buy it from him.
It's his business that you're supporting.
Well, because he's also proud. He's a proud human being. They're trying to make his living only way he knows how,